Kren's challenge hung in the air like a blade. Jiho understood what was happening. This wasn't just about Doyun anymore. This was a test of humanity itself. Could they prove they were worthy of the legacy their lost envoy had created? Give us a chance, Jiho said.
Set a task.
Let us show you who we are. The council speaker conferred quietly with several other representatives. Finally, it spoke. There is a crisis developing on the border between Vor space and the independent colonies. Tensions are rising over mining rights to the Helic asteroid belt. Both sides are mobilizing military forces. If conflict erupts, it could destabilize the entire sector. Kren's mandibles clicked in what might have been satisfaction. Yes, let the humans solve this. The Vor Empire has legitimate claims to those resources. The colonists are thieves. If humanity sides with us, they show favoritism. If they side with the colonists, they prove they cannot be impartial. And if they propose military action, he paused meaningfully, they show their true nature. Jiho felt the trap close around him, but beside him Doyun stirred. Captain, the old envoy whispered. I've seen this before. Different species, same problem. There's a way through this. Then help me, Jiho whispered back. Please. The council gave them 3 days. The Teguk traveled to the Helic belt with Doyun as an advisor. On the bridge, Jiho assembled his senior staff and stared at the tactical display showing 2 fleets facing each other across a field of asteroids. The Vor claim historical rights, Sora Im explained. Their ancestors surveyed this belt 2,000 years ago, but they never mined it because they didn't have the technology. The colonists claim salvage rights, Taiyang added. They've been mining these asteroids for 50 years. They've invested everything into the operation. If they lose access, their entire economy collapses. So both sides have legitimate points, Yuna said, and both sides will go to war rather than back down. Not both sides, Doyun said quietly. Everyone turned to him. Not really. War costs resources, lives, time. Nobody actually wants to fight. They're doing this because they think fighting is the only option. What did you do? Jiho asked. 10,000 years ago when you faced situations like this? Doyun pulled up a holographic interface, his fingers moving across it with practiced ease. I made it so they didn't have to fight. I gave them alternatives, made the cost of peace lower than the cost of war. He zoomed in on the asteroid belt. Look at the composition of these asteroids. What are they mining? Sora Im ran scans. Rare metals. Helium-3. Some exotic crystals used in jump drive construction. And where else can these materials be found? Doyun asked. Yuna started searching databases. There are 3 other asteroid belts within 50 light-years that have similar compositions. 2 are in neutral space. 1 is in the Helic system itself, on the other side of the star. So there's more than enough for everyone, Jiho said, understanding dawning. The problem isn't scarcity, it's pride and precedent. Exactly, Doyun said. The Vor don't want the resources. They want to prove their historical claims matter. The colonists don't want to fight. They want security for their investment. Jiho started to see the solution. We need to give both sides what they actually want, not what they're fighting over. Over the next 2 days, Jiho and his crew worked frantically. They contacted the Vor Empire directly, with Doyun advising on protocol and phrasing. They reached out to the colony leaders. They proposed a framework, and then they refined it based on feedback. On the 3rd day, Jiho stood on a neutral station between the 2 fleets. Beside him were Ambassador Minji Yu from Earth's diplomatic corps, who had arrived to assist, and Doyun Park. Facing them were Vor Commander Throck and Colony Representative Rin Sato. This is the proposal. Jiho began. The Vor Empire's historical claim to the Helic belt is officially recognized by the Council. This establishes precedent for future disputes and honors Vor tradition. Throck's plates shifted slightly, a sign of satisfaction. However, Minji continued smoothly. The colonists have developed the infrastructure and expertise to mine these asteroids efficiently. Rather than displace them, the Vor will grant them a 100-year lease to continue operations. Rin started to protest, but Jiho raised a hand. In exchange, the colonists will pay a modest royalty to the Vor Empire, 5% of gross profits. This gives the Vor economic benefit without requiring them to develop mining operations themselves. Additionally, Minji said, humanity will fund and establish a joint mining operation in the secondary Helic belt. This will be a partnership between Vor engineers, colony workers, and human investors. Profits will be split 3 ways. This creates interdependence and shared interest in stability. Sato frowned. What does humanity gain from this? Why would you invest your resources? Doyen spoke for the first time. Because 10,000 years ago I learned that peace requires investment. Someone has to be willing to spend resources on bridges instead of weapons. Your conflict was threatening council stability. We're investing in stability. And, Jiho added with a slight smile, we gain mining rights and good relationships with both the Vor and the colonies. It's mutually beneficial. Throck studied the proposal on his data pad. This acknowledges our historical rights, gives us economic benefit, and doesn't require us to manage the mining operations ourselves, which would be inefficient. He looked at Rin. I find this acceptable. Rin looked at the numbers, then at her advisors. They conferred in quick, quiet voices. Finally, she nodded. We can work with this. Our people keep their jobs, our economy stays stable, and we get new opportunities in the joint venture. Minji pulled out the prepared documents. Then let's make it official. The signing took an hour. When it was done, two fleets that had been ready to kill each other began to stand down. Jiho watched through the station windows as ships turned away and jumped to safer distances. You did it, Doyen said quietly. Better than I would have. We had your guidance, Jiho replied. No, Doyen shook his head. I would have manipulated them. Used fear or secrets to force peace. You built something real, something cooperative. You didn't make them stop fighting. You gave them a reason to work together. Back at Meridian Prime, the council reconvened. Kren stood in his section, and for once he looked uncertain. The humans solved the crisis, he admitted. Through economics and diplomacy. They avoided military action. They created a solution that benefited all parties. They showed wisdom, another ambassador said. They showed they learned from the Envoy's example without repeating his methods. Velthar added. Dr. Park used fear when he had no other choice. These humans used cooperation because they had the strength to offer it. The council speaker looked at Jiho and Doyen. You have proven yourselves, but Ambassador Kren claims he has one final piece of evidence, something from Dr. Park's original ship. Kren projected a hologram, schematics, and data files. These are weapons designs, advanced military technology. I found them in the Envoy's ship wreckage. Proof that he came prepared for war. Jiho felt his heart sink, but Doyen stepped forward calmly. Yes, those files are in my ship's computer. Would you like to know what they really are? Kren hesitated. They are weapons. They are history, Doyen corrected. Complete records of every weapon humanity ever built, every war we ever fought, every atrocity we committed. I kept them not as instructions but as warnings. He looked around the chamber. I never wanted to forget where I came from. I never wanted to forget the mistakes we made. Those files reminded me every day what happens when beings choose violence over understanding. He pulled up the file directory, showing titles. World War I, World War II, Nuclear Proliferation, Biological Warfare, War Crimes Tribunals. Thousands of files, all documenting humanity's darkest moments. I showed these to species who thought war was glorious, Doyen said softly. I showed them what war really costs, what it does to civilizations. I used our failures to help others avoid making the same mistakes. The chamber was silent. Kren slowly sat down, his argument demolished. The council speaker raised all its arms. We have seen enough. The Envoy was not a spy but a survivor who did the best he could. Humanity has proven they learned from his example while growing beyond his limitations. The vote for humanity's admission to the Galactic Council will now proceed. The vote was overwhelming. 347 in favor, 12 against, 23 abstentions. Humanity was in. Later, Jiho and Doyen stood at an observation deck watching ships come and go from Meridian Prime. Doyen looked older somehow, despite his young face. The weight of memory. What will you do now? Jiho asked. Do you want to go back to Earth? Doyen was quiet for a long time. Earth is home, he finally said. But everyone I knew there is dust. It's been 10,000 years. I'm a ghost from another age. You could stay here, Jiho offered. Help us navigate the council. Be an advisor. Would you want that? Doyen asked. A relic from the past telling you how to do things? Jiho smiled. I'd want a friend who understands what it means to represent humanity among the stars. Someone who can tell us when we're making mistakes. Someone who remembers why peace matters. Doyen looked at him and something in his expression softened. For the first time in 10,000 years, he didn't feel completely alone. All right, he said. I'll stay. But on one condition. The council chamber felt different this time, colder, more hostile. Jiho stood beside Doyen at the center of the floor, surrounded by hundreds of alien representatives who looked at them with suspicion and fear. The Teguk had returned to Meridian Prime with proof, but proof could be interpreted many ways. Ambassador Kren stood in his section, his armored form imposing. So humanity brings us the so-called Envoy, he said, his voice booming through the chamber. A man who claims to have shaped our civilization through accident. How convenient. It's the truth, Jiho said firmly. Dr. Park's neural interface contains 10,000 years of recorded memories. We're prepared to share them with the Council. Memories can be faked, Kren shot back, especially with 10,000 years to prepare the deception. I say this is a human plot from the beginning. They sent this spy through time deliberately to infiltrate and control us. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Jiho felt Doyen tense beside him. The old physicist looked small and tired in his borrowed clothes, facing beings he had once helped unite. The council speaker raised its arms for silence. We will examine the evidence. Archivist Velthar has agreed to conduct the memory extraction using a keeper telepath. The memories will be projected for all to witness. From the archives section, Velthar emerged with another keeper. This one was younger, female, with silver skin that glowed faintly. Her name was Hana Bay. No, Jiho corrected himself, that wasn't right. The translator had glitched. The keeper's actual name was unpronounceable, but she had chosen a human name out of academic interest. A strange coincidence. I am Hana, the telepath said, her voice soft. I will read Dr. Park's memories and share them truthfully. I cannot lie in this state. What you see will be exactly what he experienced. Doyen nodded. I'm ready. Hana approached and placed her hands on either side of Doyen's head. Her skin began to glow brighter, and Doyen's eyes went distant. Above them, a holographic display activated, showing Doyen's memories in vivid detail. The council watched as young Doyen Park sat in a spacecraft cockpit, his face eager and nervous. They heard him count down in Korean, saw his hand activate the experimental drive. Then everything went wrong. Space twisted. Colors that shouldn't exist bled through reality. Doyen screamed as his ship was torn apart. The memory shifted to Doyen crawling from wreckage, burned and bleeding onto the soil of an alien world. Kethroni villagers approached cautiously, their features insectoid and beautiful. Doyen raised his hands in peace and speaking Korean that they couldn't understand, crying because he knew he was impossibly far from home. Years passed and fast forward. Doyen learning Kethroni language, teaching them mathematics by drawing in dirt, showing them how to build better plows, better irrigation. The memories were filled with frustration and loneliness, but also small moments of joy. A Kethroni child laughing at his terrible pronunciation. An elder thanking him with genuine warmth. Decades passed. Doyen stood before the first Kethroni spacecraft, tears streaming down his face. They had done it. They had reached the stars. Maybe now he could find a way home. But the next memories were darker. War. Species fighting over territory and resources. Doyen watching in horror as ships destroyed each other in orbit. The Kethroni coming to him begging for help. You understand conflict, they said. You've studied it. Help us survive. The council watched Doyen become the envoy. They saw him travel between species, learning their languages with the help of translation technology the Kethroni built for him. They saw him arrange the first peace talks, mediating between beings who wanted to kill each other. But they also saw the violence. An assassination attempt by Vor warriors, Doyen surviving by setting traps using the environment, fighting like a cornered animal, the Vor warriors retreating in fear, spreading stories of the immortal demon who couldn't be killed. Another memory showed Doyen sabotaging a weapons facility to prevent an attack on a civilian station. He moved through shadows, disabled guards with calculated efficiency, planted false evidence to turn enemies against each other. It was manipulation and deception, and it saved thousands of lives. Kren watched these memories with growing anger. You see? He shouted. The human is a warrior, a manipulator. He used fear and deception to control us. But the memories continued. Doyen sitting alone in a small room, crying, writing in a journal. I'm so tired. I just wanted to go home. Why did this happen to me? Why am I the one who has to fix everything? More years. More faces. Doyen finally achieving peace. The first Galactic Council meeting. Doyen standing before the assembled species, speaking words he had adapted from Earth documents. No species shall dominate another. All voices will be heard. We are different, but we share this galaxy. We must learn to live together. And then Sielma appeared in the memories, a Kethroni scholar with dark compound eyes that reflected light like jewels. Doyen meeting her at a research station, them talking for hours about physics and philosophy, them realizing they understood each other, them falling in love. The council watched decades of happiness. Doyen and Sielma building a life together, her teaching him to appreciate Kethroni poetry, him teaching her to cook Korean food with alien ingredients, small domestic moments that made Doyen smile in ways he hadn't smiled in years. Then age came for Sielma. The memories showed her growing old while Doyen stayed young. Her skin wrinkling, her movement slowing. Doyen holding her hand as she died, whispering, "Thank you for making me human again." After her death, the memories became mechanical. Doyen performing his duties as advisor to the council without emotion, writing detailed reports, solving problems, but never connecting with anyone, never allowing himself to care. Finally, Doyen asking the council to place him in stasis. "I'm tired," he told them. "I've done everything I can. Let me sleep until my people come. Let me finally go home." The last memory was Doyen lying in the stasis pod, looking up at the Kethroni technicians preparing the system. His final thought before sleep, "Please let them be better than I was. Please let them not need an envoy. Please let them just need a man who wants to rest." The hologram faded. Hana removed her hands from Doyen's head and he slumped, exhausted. Jiho caught him before he fell. The council chamber was silent. Even Kren said nothing. Belthar spoke first. "That is the truth. The envoy was not a spy. He was a man lost in time who did the best he could with impossible circumstances. He used violence," Kren said, but his voice lacked conviction. "He manipulated us. He used the only tools he had," another ambassador said, "one being against entire civilizations. What else could he have done?" "He gave us peace," someone else said. "When we were destroying ourselves, he showed us another way." The council speaker looked at Doyen with what might have been respect. "Dr. Park, you carry a heavy burden. 10,000 years of memories, centuries of loneliness. You shaped our civilization not through conspiracy but through necessity." Doyen raised his head. "I didn't want to change anything," he said, his voice rough. "I just wanted to survive, to help, to maybe do something good while I was trapped here." "But there is still the question of humanity," Kren said. "They now know they can influence us. They have seen how one human changed everything. What is to stop them from using this knowledge?" Jiho stepped forward. "Nothing stops us except ourselves," he said. "Dr. Park showed us what one human could do alone and desperate. But we're not alone anymore. We're not desperate. We want to join the council not to control it, but to be part of it. To learn from you as much as you might learn from us." "Words," Kren said. "But can you prove them?" Kethron 4 looked like a corpse from space. The planet was gray and brown, its surface scarred with canyons and dried ocean beds. Once it had been home to a thriving civilization. Now it was just dust and ruins. The species that built its cities had died out 7,000 years ago. Their name forgotten by everyone except archivists like Velthar Jiho, stood on the bridge of the Teguk, watching the dead world grow larger on the view screen. "Life signs?" he asked. "None," Sorim reported from her station. "No atmosphere to speak of. Surface temperature varies from freezing to boiling depending on sun exposure. It's a dead rock, Captain." "Then why are their defense satellites still active?" Taeyang Shin pointed at his tactical display. "I'm reading 12 orbital platforms. Old technology but functional. They're scanning us right now." Jiho felt tension creep up his spine. "Weapons?" "Charged and ready," Taeyang confirmed. "But they're not firing. They're just watching us." Unichoi frowned at her engineering console. "That doesn't make sense. Those platforms look ancient. They shouldn't still have power after all this time. Even the best reactors don't last 7,000 years without maintenance. Unless someone wanted them to last," Sora Im said quietly. "Unless someone was protecting something down there." The communications panel beeped. A message appeared on screen, text in a language none of them could read. Then the ship's computer translated it and everyone went still. "Human genetic signature detected. Access granted. Proceed to coordinates provided." "It recognized us," Yuna breathed. A defense system 10,000 years old just recognized human DNA. Jiho made his decision. Take us down. Follow those coordinates. The Teguk descended through the thin atmosphere. The coordinates led them to a canyon system in the southern hemisphere. As they flew between towering rock walls, Jiho saw the ruins. Buildings carved into the cliff faces worn smooth by wind and time. This had been a city once. Now it was a tomb. The coordinates pointed to a specific location deep in the canyon. When they landed, dust billowed up around the ship in clouds that took minutes to settle. Jiho assembled a team. Himself, Sora Im, Yuna Choi, Taiyang Shin, and 4 security personnel. They wore environmental suits and carried everything from scanning equipment to plasma cutters. The entrance to the vault was exactly where the coordinates said it would be. It was a door carved into the canyon wall, covered in symbols that Sora Im immediately started photographing. "This is Kethroni script," she said. "I can't read it, but the computer might be able to translate." Yuna examined the door itself. "There's a lock mechanism here. Biometric, I think. Very sophisticated for its age." She paused. "It's asking for a genetic sample." Jiho stepped forward and placed his hand on the scanner panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then light flowed through the symbols on the door, and deep inside the rock, something ancient woke up. Machinery groaned and hummed. The door split down the middle and opened inward, revealing a corridor that sloped down into darkness. "Stay alert," Jiho ordered. "We don't know what's down there." They descended. The corridor was smooth and clean, untouched by the decay that marked the surface. Emergency lights flickered on as they passed, responding to their presence. The walls were lined with more symbols, and between them, images. Carved reliefs showing figures. Some were clearly Kethroni, the native species of this world, but others were different, humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs. "Jiho," Sora Im called out. "Look at this." She stood before a large panel covered in carvings. It showed a sequence of events like a story. In the first panel, a small craft fell from the sky, burning. In the second, a figure emerged from the wreckage. In the third, that figure stood among Kethroni people, teaching them, helping them. The figure wore strange clothes and had a face that looked undeniably human. "He was here," Jiho said. "The Envoy, he crashed here." This was where it all started. They continued deeper. The corridor ended at another door, and this one opened without prompting. Beyond it was a chamber that took Jiho's breath away. The room was vast, carved from solid rock and lined with technology that hummed with quiet power. And in the center, suspended in a column of soft blue light, was a stasis pod. Through the transparent surface of the pod, they could see him. A man, human, Asian features, dark hair, young face, peaceful in artificial sleep. He wore clothes that looked strange but recognizable, some kind of uniform or flight suit. Primitive by modern standards but clearly human in design. "Vital signs are stable," Sora Im said, running her medical scanner over the pod. "He's alive. In perfect suspension. The technology here is incredible. It's maintaining him at the cellular level, preventing any degradation." She looked up at Jiho, her eyes wide. He could have been here for 10,000 years and he wouldn't have aged a day. Yuna examined the control panel beside the pod. "There's a log here. Data storage. Looks like personal records. And there's a revival sequence. We can wake him up, should we?" Taeyang asked. "We don't know what he's capable of. What if the Council is right? What if he's dangerous?" Jiho stared at the sleeping man. 10,000 years ago, this person had left Earth somehow, had crashed on this world, had done something that changed the entire galaxy. And then he had chosen to sleep, to wait. For what? For them? "We wake him," Jiho said. "We came here for answers. He's the only one who has them." Yuna worked the controls carefully, her fingers dancing across the ancient interface. The blue light around the pod began to pulse. Inside, the man's eyes moved beneath closed lids. His fingers twitched. The pod began to drain, and the lid slowly lifted with a hiss of equalizing pressure. The man's eyes opened. They were brown and confused, darting around the chamber in panic. He tried to sit up, gasped, and fell back. His lips moved, and sound came out. Words, but they were wrong, ancient, a form of Korean that hadn't been spoken on Earth for thousands of years, mixed with something else entirely. Sora Im adjusted her translator. "He's speaking Old Korean and I don't know what else. Multiple languages blended together. The translator is having trouble." The man focused on them, seeing the faces around him, seeing humans. His expression went through confusion to disbelief to something that might have been hope. He spoke again, clearer this time, and the translator caught enough of it. Korean. You speak Korean? How long? How long was I asleep? Jiho knelt beside the pod. What's your name? The man blinked, trying to focus. Doyen, he said, his voice rough from disuse. Dr. Doyen Park, I was a physicist. There was an experiment. The drive, it failed. Everything went wrong. He looked at Jiho with desperate eyes. How long has it been? Months, a year? I need to get home. I need to tell them what happened. Jiho felt his heart break a little. Dr. Park, he said gently, you've been asleep for 10,000 years. And you changed everything. Doyen stared at him. Then he started to laugh, a broken sound that turned into something that might have been a sob. The medical bay of the Tiguk hummed quietly as Doyen Park sat on the examination table, staring at his hands. They looked the same as they always had. Young hands, steady hands, but they had been asleep for 10,000 years, and the weight of that number was crushing him. Sora Im checked his vital signs for the 5th time. Everything looks normal, she said. Your body is healthy. The stasis technology preserved you perfectly. How do you feel? Like I went to sleep yesterday and woke up after the world ended, Doyen said. His Korean was old-fashioned, formal in ways that hadn't been used in millennia. But he was learning quickly, picking up modern phrases from the crew. You keep saying 10,000 years. That's impossible. That's impossible, Jiho finished. He stood across from Doyen, arms crossed. They had been talking for 3 hours and he was still trying to understand. You said you were a physicist. You were testing a faster-than-light drive. What happened? Doyen closed his eyes, remembering. It was 2034 Earth time. We had a theory about folding space, not just moving through it, but stepping outside it. The math was beautiful, perfect. We built the drive in secret, a small team funded by, I don't even know if that country still exists. Korea still exists, Yuna said from where she sat monitoring the medical equipment. But it's different now. Very different. We tested the drive, Doyen continued. I was the pilot. Solo flight. Just supposed to jump to the moon and back. Prove it worked, but when I activated it, something went wrong. The equations collapsed. Reality bent in ways it shouldn't. I felt like I was being torn apart and put back together. And when I came out, he opened his eyes. I was here. Kethron 4. Except it wasn't called that yet. The Kethroni called it home. And it was alive. Tell us about them, Sora Im said gently. The Kethroni. What were they like? A small smile crossed Doyen's face. Scared of me at first. I crashed near one of their villages. My ship was destroyed. I barely got out alive. They found me and thought I was a demon or a god. I had to show them I was just a person, just lost. How long did you live with them? Jiho asked. Decades, Doyen said. They took me in, fed me, gave me shelter, and I tried to repay them. They were primitive, just discovering agriculture. I knew so much more. Physics, chemistry, engineering. I taught them what I could, helped them build better tools, better crops, showed them the stars and told them we weren't alone. Taeyang leaned forward. You accelerated their entire civilization. I didn't mean to, Doyen said quickly. I just wanted to survive, to be useful, and I was so lonely. Teaching them gave me purpose. Watching them grow gave me hope that maybe somehow I could find a way home. But you didn't go home, Jiho said. No. Doyen's voice went quiet, because after 50 years the Kethroni reached space, and they found others. The Antheri, the Vor, the Keepers, a dozen species all developing at the same time, all bumping into each other, and they were fighting. Constant wars over territory, resources, ideology. The galaxy was tearing itself apart. Sora Im pulled up a hologram showing a star map. This was the state of the galaxy 10,000 years ago. Before the council. Multiple species, multiple conflicts. It was chaos, Doyen nodded. The Kethroni asked me for help. They were pacifists by nature, but they were being dragged into these wars. I remembered Earth's history. All our wars, all our mistakes. I thought, maybe I could help them avoid that. Maybe I could make something better. So you became the Envoy, Jiho said. I never called myself that, Doyen replied. That was what others started calling me. I traveled between species, learning their languages, understanding their conflicts. I proposed peace talks, arranged the first meetings. It took years. Some species refused to listen. Some tried to kill me. But you survived, Taeyang said, his tactical mind working. How did one human survive assassination attempts from multiple alien species? Doyen's smile turned sad. Because I learned to be scary. I couldn't match them in strength, so I matched them in fear. I sabotaged their weapons, learned their secrets, made them believe that attacking me would cost more than it was worth. I wasn't proud of it, but I was alone and I wanted to live. You used psychological warfare, Taeyang said with respect. Classic asymmetric tactics. I used whatever worked, Doyen said. Eventually, the species realized that fighting was destroying them all. I helped them write a charter, rules for interaction, the foundation of what would become the Galactic Council. No species shall dominate another. All voices will be heard. Those words came from Earth's own attempts at unity. The UN Charter, the Declaration of Human Rights. I adapted them for a galactic scale. The room was silent for a moment. Jiho tried to imagine it, one man alone shaping the destiny of an entire galaxy. Using knowledge from Earth to build peace among the stars, there's more, isn't there? Sora M said softly. Something you're not telling us. Doyen's expression crumbled. There was a woman, he said. Sielma. She was Kethrani, a scholar. We met during the peace talks. She was brilliant, curious, kind. I loved her. We had decades together. She understood me in ways no one else could. What happened to her? Yuna asked. She died, Doyen said simply. Old age? Her species lived about 80 years. I was 150 by then, but my ship's medical technology kept me young. I watched her grow old while I stayed the same. Watched her die. And then I watched our friends die, and their children. Everyone I cared about gone while I remained. So you chose stasis, Jiho said, understanding. You couldn't bear to keep living. I was tired, Doyen admitted. Tired of being the strange immortal human. Tired of watching people die. The council was stable. They didn't need me anymore. I asked them to put me in stasis and hide me away. I left instructions. If humans ever reached the stars, if they ever found the council, they should wake me. I wanted to go home. Even if home was 10,000 years in the future. And now we're here, Jiho said. But there's a problem, Dr. Park. The council thinks you're a spy. They think humanity planted you to manipulate them from the beginning. We have to prove them wrong or humanity will never be accepted. Doyen looked stricken. No, that's not what happened. I was just trying to survive. To help. We believe you, Sora M said. But we need proof. You have memories, records. We need to show the council the truth. There's a device. Doyen said slowly. A neural interface. I used it to store everything. Every conversation, every memory. It's in the vault with my other equipment. You can extract it. Show them everything. Will you let us? Jiho asked. It means the council will see your entire life. Every private moment. Everything you did, good and bad. Doyen looked at each of them. These humans from a future he never imagined. His people, finally here. Yes, he said. If it helps humanity, show them everything. I have nothing left to hide. Jiho nodded. Then we go back to Meridian Prime. We show the council who you really were. And we make them understand that you weren't a spy. You were just a man trying to make the best of an impossible situation. And after? Doyen asked quietly. After they see? What happens to me? Jiho put a hand on his shoulder. That's up to you, Dr. Park. You've been lost for 10,000 years. It's time someone helped you find your way home. The great hall of Meridian Prime stretched out like a cathedral made of light and metal. Captain Jiho Kang stood at the center, his dark uniform pressed sharp, his hands clasped behind his back. Around him, hundreds of alien species filled the chamber. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated in containment fields, while others stood on legs that numbered anywhere from 2 to 8. This was humanity's moment. After 200 years of contact with the galactic community, Earth was finally being admitted to the Galactic Council. Jiho felt the weight of billions watching through live feeds across human space. He had rehearsed his speech 1,000 times. The council speaker, a tall being with crystalline skin that refracted light into rainbows, raised 3 of its arms. The chamber fell silent. We welcome humanity to our council, it said. Its voice translated into perfect Korean through Jiho's earpiece. May your species bring wisdom and— Stop! The word cut through the ceremony like a blade. Every head turned. From the archives section, an elderly alien shuffled forward. His species was called the Keepers, and they were the historians of the galaxy. This one was ancient, his silver skin wrinkled and marked with the tattoos of his profession. His name was Velthar, and he carried a data tablet that glowed with soft blue light. "Council speaker, I must interrupt," Velthar said, his voice shaking slightly. "I have discovered something in the old records. Something important." The speaker's crystalline face showed no emotion, but its body language suggested annoyance. "Archivist Velthar, this is highly irregular. The ceremony— This is not humanity's first contact," Velthar interrupted. "They were here before. 10,000 years ago, the chamber erupted. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Jiho felt his heart slam against his ribs. Dr. Sora Im, his chief science officer, grabbed his arm. "That's impossible," she whispered. 10,000 years ago, humans were barely farming. Silence. The speaker's voice boomed through the chamber. "Archivist, explain yourself now." Velthar tapped his tablet and a hologram appeared above the chamber floor. It showed text in a language Jiho didn't recognize, ancient and flowing. "This is from the founding archives of the Council. From the very first gathering, 10,000 years past. There is mention here of an entity called the Envoy, this being appeared during our earliest meetings. He spoke perfect Old Galactic, though no one knew where he came from. He possessed knowledge of mathematics, philosophy, and physics that was far beyond any species at that time." The hologram shifted, showing a rough sketch. It was humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. The proportions looked wrong for most alien species in the chamber. But to Jiho, it looked perfectly human. "I have spent 40 years studying these fragments," Velthar continued. "I believed the Envoy was a myth, a story the founders told. But 3 days ago I found this." The hologram changed again, showing a message written in multiple languages. One of them was English. Primitive, ancient English, but readable. "When they return, find the one who remembers." Jiho read the words and felt cold spread through his chest. Beside him, Sora Im had gone pale. "Jiho," she breathed. "That's early modern English. From Earth. From around the 21st century." The chamber exploded again. This time the speaker didn't call for silence. Ambassador Kren of the Vor Empire, a species known for their military strength, rose from his seat. His armored body gleamed under the lights. "This is a trick," he snarled. "Humans have deceived us. They infiltrated the Council from the beginning. They've been manipulating us for 10,000 years. We didn't—" Jiho started, but his voice was lost in the chaos. "Proof," someone shouted. "Where is your proof, Archivist?" Velthar looked around the chamber, his old eyes tired. "I have coordinates," he said quietly. "A location. There is a vault on Kethron 4. It has been sealed since the Council's founding. The old records say something sleeps there, something waiting." The speaker raised all of its arms. The gesture was enough to bring order back. "Captain Kang," it said, turning its faceted gaze toward Jiho. "Your species stands accused of a conspiracy that spans 10 millennia. You will investigate these claims. You have 30 Earth days. If you cannot provide answers, humanity's admission to this council will be denied. Permanently." Jiho wanted to argue, wanted to demand fairness, but he saw the fear in the alien faces around him. Fear and suspicion. If humans had really been here before, if they had shaped the council from its birth, then what else might they have done? What other secrets might they be hiding? "I accept," Jiho said, his voice steady despite the storm in his mind. "We'll find the truth." The ceremony ended without celebration. Jiho and his team were escorted back to their ship, the Tegok. As soon as they were in the briefing room, everyone started talking at once. "It's impossible," Sora Im said, pulling up star charts on the main screen. 10,000 years ago, humans hadn't even built pyramids yet. We definitely didn't have space travel. "Unless we did," said Yuna Choi, the ship's chief engineer. She was young, brilliant, and didn't like accepting impossible things. "Unless someone got out there somehow. Time travel? Wormhole accident? Ancient alien abduction?" "Focus," Jiho said, and the room quieted. "We have 30 days. Velthar gave us coordinates. We go to Kethron 4, we find this vault, and we find out what's inside. What if it's really one of us?" asked Taeyang Shin, the tactical officer. He was usually quiet, but now his voice carried weight. "What if there's really a human who's been asleep for 10,000 years? What do we do with them?" Jiho looked at the hologram still displayed on the screen. The sketch of the Envoy, the message in ancient English. His gut told him this was real. Someone from Earth had been out here, long before they should have been. Someone had changed everything. Then we wake them up, Jiho said, and we ask them what the hell they did to our future. The Taiguk left Meridian Prime 6 hours later, heading for a dead world on the edge of known space. Behind them, the galaxy held its breath and wondered what secrets humanity had buried in its past. And somewhere in a vault beneath Deadstone, something waited in the dark, dreaming of home.